Here we go. This is it. This is episode 409. Formula 409, my favorite cleaner.
Giddy up 409.
Giddy up. Yeah, that's a song, isn't it?
Yeah, man. That ruled.
No, it didn't. You're lying. That's the voice of Ryan O'Flanagan, who is my guest today. I'm Justin Severson, the host of this thing. We're at Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis, and Ryan is this week's headliner.
Yeah, man.
Here at Acme, one show down and
one show down.
2, 3, 4, 5 to go.
Five to go, yeah. Shaking off the rust.
Yes.
Yeah, last night was, I haven't done stand-up since December, and even that was pretty rough in December. And before that, yeah, it's basically been the whole pandemic. So I'm dusting off these jokes I've been writing in quarantine and some old, trying to remember how these old classics go.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to iron out the kinks here.
Holy cow. So I watched last night.
Oh, sweet.
I did the Zoom option.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, great. How was that?
Yeah, it's great.
How did it look on Zoom?
I
Is it
mean,
just as awkward?
Well, it's on a delay, so they edit all the awkward points.
Oh,
out.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's great. We're using the cameras here right now. It's
sweet. Yeah, man, the crowd was great. I can't believe on like a Wednesday night, people kind of packed it in. It was really fun. They were very forgiving. I was just like stumbling and trying to remember how my jokes go, and they were just like with me all the way. It was super fun.
So let's pretend that there was no pandemic and you had been doing like stand-up constantly for the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Would you still come out and go, look, I'm rusty, just so they like cut you slack in case it doesn't go well?
I don't think so.
Huh?
I try to not use that as an excuse too much, but it is. I was at least looking forward to using that excuse yesterday because I'm like, I am going to say that just to let them know there's no refunds. This is going to be, if it's bad, at least I admitted it up top. I gave him a disclaimer.
8 years from now, you're like, look, I haven't been doing this much. Pandemic,
yeah.
guys.
Pandemic. People are like, what? Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, let's go back. So it's been a little over a year from now that we've been in this mess.
Yeah.
What would have 2020 looked like for you compared to what actually happened if you're not doing stand-up?
Yeah, right before the pandemic, it was, so things kind of shut down in early March, and all of February I was doing shows. It was just like super busy, and I'm usually not that busy, but it was, like every weekend in February I was on the road. I was like, man, it's going to be a good year. 2020, I distinctly remember, was the first year in my life that I verbally said to friends, I was like, I have a really good feeling about this year.
No, you didn't.
I had a couple of friends that some friends like selling a show, and some other friends were like putting on this like sketch kind of like play at this theater, and like things were kind of looking up. I had another friend who like booked the show Dave, and that had just come out, and another friend was directing some stuff, and I was like, our whole group of friends, I was like, I feel really good about this year. I feel like this is going to be a good year for us, and it was the worst year that has ever happened.
Oh, no.
So I'm never going to say that again.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, now's your chance. Do you have a prediction? It's, what are we, April 8th right now is the day we're recording. Do you have a prediction for the rest of 2021?
Disaster, I think. Volcanoes are going to erupt.
Perfect.
But things are looking good. This is my first weekend on the road since kind of things are starting to open back up again. So I got, this week, and then got to do San Diego and then Spokane, Washington all this month. So 3 weekends on the road in 1 month, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Then I'm going to Wilmington, North Carolina to shoot a golf movie where I have to play a really good golfer, and I don't golf. So I have to, hopefully learn how to golf in the next, 2 weeks.
What?
They said they're going to hire, a trainer or, a professional to help me out with my swing and stuff. I told them, I'm like, I can't. I've been going I went to a driving range last week, and I filmed myself and was looking at my form, and I was like, good God, I have to film a movie where I play a golfer? This is all I can do. There's a scene, there's literally a scene where this guy, he's like this prodigy, or he's like an ex-golfer, used to be really good, then he just quit because of his girlfriend or whatever. But then there's this one scene, he comes back and he steps up to the tee, and there's 100, 200, 300, and 400-yard markers that are wooden, and he's just aiming for them and hitting the 100, and then he aims for the 200, hits the 200, and he hits the 300. Then he looks at the 400, and he drives 400 yards, and he drives, and the ball hits the 400-yard marker, and it explodes.
Shatters. Yeah.
Yes, just like wood splinters. I'm like, that's physically impossible. What are you talking about? How is it going to look like I'm able to do that with my crappy swing?
Your swings are going to be in fast forward.
yeah. It's going to do 1.5 times speed.
Put some whip into that thing.
It's good God, going to throw his back out. Yeah, so it'll be good to hit the road. It's good to just get out.
Yeah. So that's a movie that's going to be filming, you said?
Yeah. It's just these guys I know. It's gonna, I don't know how it's gonna be.
How do you get hired to do a role in a movie with golf and you have no experience really?
It's just these guys that I met. I shot a pilot out there a couple of years ago with these guys. They have a comedy club out there that's really good, and so someone had come to the show that was like trying to produce a pilot, and he's like, I'd really like to have you for this role, so I filmed that, and it was kind of bad, but I met a bunch of people out there and made a bunch of friends. They're like, yeah, we'd love to bring you back out and film this movie we're doing. I just love that city, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm telling you, I cannot golf. They're like, we'll cheat it. We can just like cut away. And I'm like, all right. If you guys think that you can make that work, it's going to take some movie magic to make that look.
You're going to show up and meet your stunt double.
Yeah, it looks just like me. just like jacked.
That's a woman with a wig.
yeah, she's a professional golfer.
She's killing it. Yeah. You do stand up and acting, known for both. Did you get a chance? Was anything in production last year?
Not really. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, nothing really happened. I did one. I actually shot like a quarantine movie, which is the only thing I did, and took like 3 days for me, but they think they shot for like a month. But it was I think it was called Stay at Home. They may have changed the title, but it was their tagline was a COVID compliant comedy, and the whole thing was like most of it happens on VR, and so there's a bunch of different characters, and we all put on like our VR headsets, and then we go. And it's like an animated thing where we all go into this nightclub, and so most of the movie is like animated. It's kind of like avatars of us.
Okay.
And then they shot our like in-person scenes individually, so we can just be like, "Hey, we shot this, but it was COVID compliant. Don't get mad at us."
Oh boy.
So we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. But anything for any money at all.
How did your avatar look?
I didn't. They showed like the initial version, and it looked just eerily like exactly like me. I thought it was going to be more like cartoonish and weird, and I was like, it's kind of creepy. It just looks like a glitchy kind of version of me in real life. So I don't know how it's going to look. The final version is probably going to be kind of a creepy setup.
Sure. Yeah. You got to get that for merch, man.
Yeah. It's my avatar just on a shirt, on a tote bag.
Yeah, absolutely. So I watched the show last night from Zoom, as we mentioned a little bit. Very funny.
Thanks.
And I've done plenty of research like I always do for this podcast.
Yep.
And one of the things that stood out to me is the town that you're from. I love the name of the town that you're from.
Seekonk?
Seekonk,
Mass. Yeah, Seekonk is people always laugh because it's supposed to be the Wampanoag Indian word for black goose.
Oh, now I'm a racist. Thanks.
Way to go, dude. But it's apparently supposed to be the sound that like a goose makes. Seekonk.
Not for real?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. That's literally what it is. Or that's what they tell us when you're like in elementary school. I've never seen that written anywhere in adulthood, but that's what they say.
What? So Seekonk High School?
Seekonk High School. The Warriors, baby. No, bleed blue.
Not the geese?
Yeah, that's what our youth soccer league is. The Black Goose Soccer.
Oh,
that's
for
our
real?
only, and we have like 2 geese on our town flag. So that's our homage to geese. But yeah, we're the Warriors, and our logo is this like very cartoonish, almost like the Cleveland Indians, like Indian guy. And we're called Seekonk, which is like an Indian Native American word. So I don't know if they're
for how much
fix
longer.
That. Yeah, like they have to take care of that. They did change like the football helmet to like the Florida State spear, as opposed to like a cartoonish, very offensive Native American guy with like a big nose and like feathers. He's like smiling.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good plan.
God.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good plan. So how does someone from Seekonk, which I love saying, I'm going to keep saying it. How does someone from Seekonk get into acting and stand up?
Honestly, it did start at Seekonk High. It was me and my friends. We had to do some like a video project for something. I forget what it was. I think the first thing me and a couple of friends filmed was just like a reenactment of the book The Pearl, the John Steinbeck book The Pearl. We just filmed it in my yard, and it was just like this 10-minute thing. We filmed on like my dad's camcorder, and it was my first time kind of filming anything and acting in any way. And I was like, this is super fun. Me and like 3 or 4 friends, this is really fun. I might want to like get into this. And so I started asking teachers, especially like my English teacher at the time, who was like super nice, if we could like do video stuff for like extra credit, or instead of like writing an essay, if we could do like a video thing. I think once or twice she like let us do it.
Brilliant.
I was like, yeah. So it was just like, then we just started filming kind of like sketch or kind of like man on the street jackass type stuff around town, just like being idiot kids. And that's kind of how I started getting into it and having fun filming stuff. And then when I went to college, I majored in theater, which was a mistake. Didn't have to do that. That was a very expensive school and majored in theater.
What is the number one reason why that was a mistake? The price?
You could have just done theater and been in plays and been involved without majoring in it, and then just gotten an education in something more useful, I think, is what I wish I could have done.
Yeah. Could you now teach that to someone?
Absolutely not. I don't remember, like, anything that I learned. I'm so bad about, like, playwrights and plays and theater and stuff, and I'll talk to people who majored in theater that I'm friends with now, and they're just like, yeah, you know that play? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did you ever try to write
I remember Shakespeare. I remember, like,
Isn't that part of it? Like,
ones.
you show up with, like, here's my play that I wrote.
Yeah. I would, like, submit some plays to these. Like, they had this thing called After Hours, which is, like, this starts at, like, 10 p.m., and they just, like, go all night, and it's, like, student-written plays, so I would, like, write funny, kind of like comedy, really over-the-top, absurd plays for that.
Okay.
That was kind of my foray into, like, writing.
All right.
Yeah.
And then after college?
After college, I moved straight to L.A. Yeah, I knew. So I started doing stand-up. My freshman year, really, in college. But
Where was college? I'm sorry.
My freshman year, I went to UMass Amherst.
Okay.
But then I transferred to Boston College.
BC?
BC. So I first started stand-up when I was like 18, and I was so bad. I didn't know about open mics till like my senior year. Somehow, my freshman year, I entered like this contest in Providence, Rhode Island, and made it to like the finals of this contest just because my family and friends would come and they like vote. But I was like so bad, but I had so many friends coming, so I thought I was good.
The Ringer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I did stand up like 8 or 10 times for the first like 3 years. I did stand up just every few months. I'd be like, yeah, I'm a comedian. I'll do some contest. Then yeah, my senior year, I discovered open mics in Boston, so started hitting those hard, and that's when I kind of discovered, how to like really work on your craft and find your voice and do stand up and stuff. And after I graduated, it was a month after I graduated, I drove out to L.A. and just started hitting open mics there and met a few guys, started a sketch group, and kind of ball just started rolling from there.
The sketch group is with Ahmed, right?
Ahmed, yeah. So Ahmed was actually
former No Laugh Track podcast guest.
Yes. Yeah, I saw his name in the green room.
Oh, okay.
Took a selfie with it, sent it to him. He goes, "That's the best my handwriting has ever looked." I'm like, yeah, this is like not your handwriting. I did not think you wrote like that.
Funny.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe after he left.
I
forgot. Love it.
But yeah, the first time I did stand up at that contest that my family came to, Ahmed was there. So the first time I ever did stand up, and I was 18. I actually met Ahmed, and he was, I guess, 22 at the time, which is, God, crazy to think about. Now he's got another kid on the way, and he's married, and he's moved out to Santa Barbara, living the dad life.
Yeah.
Like, God, I met you when you were 22, and, just like having a crush on other comics. Like, oh, that comic's cute over there. I'm like, we're just two idiot boys, and now we're idiot men.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing that changes is boy to man, exactly. So last week, Acme put out this press release that they had just hired 4 new MCs. Which is a pretty big deal here. Mm-hmm. One of them opened for you last night,
yes.
Ira. And so I just think that's not which. So I want to give them credit for that. I'm going to read their names: Sean Nafstad, Elise Cole, James Stanley, Ira Ford. All just recently got hired.
Yes,
as MCs.
Congrats.
Yeah, so that's a pretty.
I think
big
I've only
deal.
met Ira so far. Great dude, great fashion sense. Yeah, was wearing like the coolest shirt or hoodie last night.
Yes, and I haven't seen him too much, but I did see last night, and if. He's got a unique perspective. Someone comes up and talks about dealing cocaine in the past.
Yeah, it was like his first joke. He comes out. He's like, yeah, so all right, so coke. I was like, all right. This guy's cool.
So, yeah, that's a perspective that's just his own, which I highly recommend. But it's interesting that all these people, they did it what you didn't do. They worked their way up, coming here, for the open mic night, week after week after week after week.
If I had known, then that's hopefully what I would have done. No one ever told me about open mics.
That's
I thought the way to
amazing.
start doing stand-up was to sign up for contests and then try to make it through the further round. And the further you get, the better a comic you are. That's like how comedy worked. I had no idea.
So what do you consider like your home club then?
I guess probably the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica is probably that's where I started. When I first moved to L.A., I interned there. And I was just like they call it a show runner, but it was
what does that mean?
Or a house run or something. But when people would come in, this is like back in the day. I don't even know if they do it anymore. But it was back in the day. I would like seat people and then basically just go on stage and introduce the show and go in between acts because there'd be different shows per night. So I would go in between every show and explain what it is and do the housekeeping type kind of MC kind of stuff,
Sure.
and then I would bring out like the actual host of the actual show, who
Yeah.
would be a real comic or an improv guy.
Interesting. So it's like
Yeah,
an extra job.
Yes, there's
that isn't
really
a
no
comic.
reason. There was no reason for it at all.
Except that you
But
probably weren't getting paid, I'm guessing?
No.
Yeah.
At the intern level, you're just not. But I was just like meeting a bunch of comics, so I'm still friends with. That's like where I met Jack, the other guy that's in Dead Kevin.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's me and Ahmed and Jack. And I hosted the open mic there. So that's kind of what I consider my home club. And it's in this kind of hidden alley in Santa Monica that not a ton of people know about it. But once you find it, it's kind of this like cool little family. That's what I would consider, I guess. My home
Very
club.
cool. Very cool. So one of the many things we still need to talk about today is and I don't know if you've been doing any more recently, but these overly excited tourist videos.
I'm not doing those anymore.
I didn't think so. But I often ask people of their history in Minnesota when it's their first time on this podcast. I know that you have some history here because one of those was filmed. And you mentioned it last night, Mall of America. You've been to the Mall of
I went
America.
to the Mall of America,
You filmed one of your overly excited
I had
tourists
to.
all
Yeah.
around the Twin Cities, including the Mall of America.
Yeah, dude, you know what's funny is like I remember that day. So I would always this character I would do for these Funny or Die videos, and I would wear these like really ugly sunglasses that I got from Target. There's like kind of Pudge Rodriguez ugly sunglasses. Then I would wear a hat of that says like the state or city that I'm in. That was just kind of my routine wardrobe. And I would just like scream. The character was like really loud and just like screaming stuff in public, kind of embarrassing. It's kind of why I stopped doing it, because it was so like embarrassing to do. But I remember when I went to the Mall of America and I was looking for just like a hat that just said Minnesota, and I couldn't find one. I was walking around, I was like wasting time. I was like so annoyed. I just want to get out of here and like film my thing. Then I found this like University of Minnesota hat, so it just said Minnesota on it. And I'm like, all right, that'll work. I try to not do like a logo that's like a school. I'd rather have just like an ugly hat that just says like
kind of
Minnesota.
generic. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like funnier that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wearing this like University of Minnesota hat, and I did my walking around, yelling, being embarrassing, and I went to the like amusement park thing, and I was going on that roller coaster that they have. And I was like, it'd be funny to just like scream on this roller coaster, in my hat. And they were like telling me not to wear the hat, but I was like snuck the hat on. So I was like on the roller coaster screaming at the top of my lungs in this hat. And then I got off, and the people were like clearly looking at me like, were you the guy who was just screaming? And it was like, it's not that big of an area, so the scream was just like echoing throughout.
Oh, yeah.
And then later, so I finished that, and I was like walking around, and then I walked by this kiosk that had like the perfect Minnesota hat. And it's to this day, it's probably my favorite hat I had in the entire series. It was like so obnoxious.
Yes.
It just said Minnesota and had a bunch of different little Minnesota things, like landmarks on it. And I was like, God, I have to get this hat. So I had to buy that hat and then refilm everything, walking around screaming again. And I got back on the roller coaster and I like screamed again. Just like, oh, this guy's back. So I had to film the whole thing screaming again.
They're probably like, what is this guy coming in disguises now? Yeah, we know it's you, buddy.
Oh, different hat. Yeah, we know. Yeah, man.
Oh,
Minnesota.
great.
So I'm here a bunch. I have a family that lives in Plymouth.
Really?
So they'll be coming to, my dad's sister, my aunt, and her whole family, my grandma, they live out here. So they'll be coming probably tomorrow or Saturday to one of these
Grandma?
shows. My grandma won't come.
Oh.
Grandma's in a nursing home.
Okay.
Grandma doesn't know what's going on. Doesn't know.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Hook her
I
up
should,
with the
I should
Zoom.
tell Grandma about the Zoom.
Come on.
But, they'll be coming out. So, I'm here a bunch. And I did like a family reunion here a couple years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
And then I played like Sisyphus and some other like club, so it was like a rock venue. It was their first comedy show they ever did.
Oh.
I don't know if they ever did another one, but that was weird. It was mostly just my family that was there.
They tore that place down.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have no
they
idea
probably
what it
did after that show.
I have no idea.
But yeah, so I'm here a bunch. Yeah, it's one of my favorite towns to visit because I got a bunch of people I know here.
Wild. And you live in California?
I live in L.A. now. So, I've been there 11 years. I moved right after college, and it's home. I didn't like it at first. Was going to move back, actually. Was really thinking about just leaving, like my first year in L.A. I just hated it so much. The people are, there's too many comedians, and people are kind of rude, and I didn't have any friends, and comedy was, like, sucking, and I just really wanted to move back. Then I started dating this girl, so I stayed, and, that didn't work out, but I'm glad I ended up staying because I've been there 11 years, and it's been fun. Made a bunch of friends, and it's home now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. So one of the things that Ira mentioned last night when he introduced you was a movie that looks like it just came out on Netflix.
Yeah,
Do I have that
the
correct?
Block Island Sound. I didn't even tell him. I told him he was like, "What do you want me to say about you?" When I bring it up, and I was, "You can say American Vandal," and that was a show I was on Netflix like 4 years ago. and like Comedy Central, basic stuff. Then he was like, I just watched that movie that you're in on Netflix. I was like, you watched that? And he was like, yeah, want me to say that? And I was like, yeah, that makes way more sense. I honestly forgot that was like a thing that was out there. I felt like, yeah, say that. That just came out. That's a great thing to say.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's like a horror, kind of a creepy horror film, mystery. I play, it's a real serious role. And a lot of the reviews I'm getting is people can't take me seriously. They're like, we know he was like a comedy guy, but it's just a real kind of serious role. And he's just, like, in love with the main character. People are like, yeah, as soon as you showed up, I just started laughing. I'm like, damn it, that's not, that's not what I want to hear.
Oh, no, don't let the producers hear that.
yeah, but it's getting good reviews. It was, like, top 10 on Netflix a couple weeks ago on Netflix, like, movies. So check it out. It's called Block Island Sound.
Well, I'm going to crush it right now.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. But I did a little search last night. I was like, well, maybe I can get like a review of this thing, or what are people? Because I didn't have time to watch it like Ira did, but I just wanted to learn a little more about it. I found the Common Sense Media review of it.
Okay, let's hear what Common Sense.
You know what that is, right?
No, what is that?
That's where they point out all the naughty words and all the things.
Oh,
they're warning responsible families.
Oh, got
on
it.
why
Okay,
they
great.
shouldn't watch your movie.
Okay, great.
Are you ready?
I have to say, yeah.
Here's what parents need to know.
Okay.
Ryan, parents need to know that the Block Island Sound is a horror/conspiracy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah,
So
I'd
far?
say that.
A mysterious force is covering beaches with thousands of dead fish and also sickening people and turning them into undead monsters who are understandably in a really bad mood.
Yeah, really bad.
So far, so good?
Warn your kids. There's going to be people in a really bad mood in this movie.
They might get crabby. The mottled, M-O-T-T-L-E-D? I don't even know that word.
Don't know what that word is.
Do you know that word?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, this person's very intelligent. More than us, clearly.
Yeah.
The mottled and wounded face of one such unfortunate is shown at length.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, and the government may be behind it all. Or aliens. Language includes, and then they don't write it out, they put little dashes, but language includes fuck, shit, bitch, ass, and Christ.
Christ.
Does your character say any of those words?
I don't think so. My character has no reason for being in the movie. There's like
what? What are you
it's
saying?
Like very much a side character that's not super important. He's kind of this lame dude. He's just kind of around.
What, was somebody just doing you a favor?
Yeah. So you want to be in this movie? You don't really do anything, but
this guy needs to pay some bills. Put him in a movie. Let's see what we got here. Drinking and smoking cigarettes are on display.
Mm-hmm,
do you get to do any of that fun stuff?
I may be drinking a beer at like a funeral scene, maybe. I don't get to smoke a cigarette yet, but the main character is just like a major alcoholic, and that's like people think that's why he's like going crazy. But spoiler alert, that's not why he's going crazy, folks.
Ooh, a young girl is kidnapped and thrown in a boat by a zombie-like man. A dog goes missing. Oh,
yeah, the dog went missing.
That's
that's
traumatizing.
traumatizing.
Strings right
That's
there.
funny. My sister was like thinking of watching the movie, but she has kids and she doesn't know if she should like watch it. And she also doesn't really like horror herself, so I should send her this weird article.
Yes.
Just so you know, it says fuck and shit and Christ.
Yes, you absolutely should. So a dog goes missing. A dead man with bruised purple skin keeps showing up and egging on another man to do bad things.
Yeah. It's a horror movie.
A reference is made to death by lung cancer. How dare they?
Yeah, you can't talk about that these days.
And a man throws up what looks like two small snakes.
Yeah, two small snakes. Yeah, they're like leeches, I think. Two small snakes. They're like this big. And he just throws them up into the sink. I think they're supposed to be leeches or sea worms or something. I don't know what they're supposed to be.
To you, they're sea worms. To others, they're two small snakes.
Two small snakes. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a zoologist.
But in other words, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's the point.
Really?
Something
right.
like that, yeah.
Pretty sweet little number there.
Yeah.
Right,
so when it's, let's look into the future here. 10 years from now, what would make you happiest? That you are in, that you're selling out theaters, doing comedy, or you have a hit sitcom and a string of hit movies?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, acting I think is my number one. I think if I had to choose one, I would act. 10 years from now, if I could be in a couple movies, just have like regular income from acting, that'd be pretty sweet.
I mean, I'm not trying to put it off for 10 years. I mean, if it happens in 6 months,
that'd be sweet too.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. If I had to choose, I would choose acting over stand-up. Just because stand-up is so much fun. It's just obviously instant gratification, but so much more stressful. I'm just like get so much more nervous, and anxious, and It has ways. It's aging me, I think, so much more than acting is. I'm also doing it way more than acting. I don't get booked for acting nearly as much as stand-up. But, yeah, if I had to choose, I would definitely choose. But hopefully I can do both as long as I can without going too crazy.
Is there a little bit of nerves even when you're doing it steadily? Like, no matter
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Even, no matter how much I'm doing it, even, like, before quarantine, I was, like, really getting a routine going, and every week, and like the whole day up until I'm just like, looking at my jokes, like, how can I fix this? And last night, this joke didn't really work that well. So I spend all day just like worrying about how I'm going to fix things. So yeah, there's a certain level of anxiety that comes with stand-up that's I don't love. But
how about hanging on any like mistakes that you've noticed? Like you leave a show, you're like,
oh, constantly. Yeah, just like, God, I did that. Even last night, I like dropped this. I don't know if you saw on the Zoom. And I was like doing this bit with like, which was I thought it was such a funny bit, but I was just like, they had a bottle of like sanitizer on stage to spray the mic, and I was just like, took it, and I was like shaking it around, and like the crowd was laughing. I was like, yeah, I'm like riffing and doing this like silly thing, and then the cap just came off and the whole bottle fell and spilled all over the stage. And I'm like, yeah, this is such a clear first time doing stand up in a while. Just like bumbling, dropping stuff. I spilled my beer, like bumped into Ira when I came on stage, spilled all over my hand. The crowd was like, this guy is he drunk already?
Jeez, man, the nerves, this guy. What else are you on? Yeah, right. I love it. Well, I get that too. When I leave this podcast, I if I say one thing, I'm like,
yeah. But it's the same thing with auditions. Every audition I leave, I mean, they're all on Zoom now, but as soon as I log out, I click leave session, and I'm like, God, I should have thought of like this other way of saying it or something like that. But yeah, every time I leave an audition, like a quick, like commercial auditions, for example, are very just quick, and you go in, you say a couple lines, and they're like, okay, cool, and then you leave, and then you just spend the whole walk back to your car being like, damn it, I should have just said this, or this would have been a funny little tag.
Yeah.
And you get in your car the whole ride home, you're like, God, I suck so bad.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't matter at all. They just care about like your look and your voice or whatever for commercials.
Right. It's always worse for the person involved.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Did you end up selling any chapstick last night?
I did. I sold like probably 15 chapsticks, I think. I gave a few away. People were like, I don't have any cash. I'm like, it's chapstick, just take one. But I'm like, who cares? They cost like 60 cents a piece to make or something. But I got like 600 chapsticks that say Butthole Chapstick. It was so funny. It's like I could not figure out on the website how to like design it, but they were just like, yeah, if you want to just say what you want, and like we'll send a mock-up. So I had to like send. I was like, yeah, I want it to just say Butthole Chapstick. If you could make the O look like a butthole, that would be perfect, and then say like this little joke on the back. And they like the next day they just sent this mock-up. It was perfect, and the O is just such a funny like butthole. They just like really went. I can't imagine. It looks like it was designed, by like a person like by hand. I'm like, thank you so much for putting the work in to make this. But I just responded. I was like, I'm so sorry about this, but thank you. This is perfect.
I've been waiting for somebody for years to request the butthole.
Yeah,
finally somebody needs the butthole.
Yeah, one of them like made the rounds in the office. Like, look what this guy wants.
Can we tweak the donut just slightly?
Yeah, exactly.
So so obviously, you're not going to do the joke here, but there is a joke that involves Butthole Chapstick.
Butthole Chapstick. So yeah,
and you have a merch tie-in.
Yeah, man. It was my last time doing stand up in December. I was in Oklahoma, and like the feature had a bunch of koozies, and he was just making bank selling koozies after the show. And I never been into merch. I tried once. I tried selling shot glasses once. And I foolishly did like glass shot glasses, and they all just shattered in my suitcase. I put them in my checked bag. I put them in like a fancy like padded bag, and wrapped them in a bunch of clothes, and they still they get thrown around by TSA or whatever. And
right.
So they all shattered, and like probably like 12 or 13 of like the 50 that I brought survived. And so I just the one show I did, I just like gave them away. I was like,
no,
these are the 12. I don't want to sell these. Just please take them. I don't want to take
triple
these
for those, Ryan. What are you talking about?
No way. I was like, please, I don't want these anymore. So I just like never did merch again. It's just like a pain to like bring on the road with you. So I'm like, I just don't really. Then you have to like sell them after, and there's got to be a money exchange, and then you got to have change when people have too big bills. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna not do merch. But then I was watching this guy just clean up after every show. He was making an extra like $200-$300 off of just these koozies. Then I'm like, there's also the thing where it's like if you do a joke, if like it has a reference to a joke on it, then you got to like always do that joke.
Always do the joke.
And that's annoying because I get sick of my jokes so fast. But I was like, you know what? My butthole, I was like, what's a joke that like always works? Like that, my butthole, it's like a whole butthole rant, and then it ends with like, and then you like Butthole Chapstick. And I was like, that joke pretty much works, probably 90% of the time. That's a good high percentage. So if I can make some merch out of that, I'm like, what if I actually have actual chapstick that just says Butthole Chapstick? I'm like, that'd be perfect. And yeah, but most people didn't want them. Most people walked right by the table. But a couple people were like, yeah, I'll take a Butthole Chapstick.
You know what's so funny is like a very common question that people, the comedians get asked is, so do you have to tweak your material, like if you're working in like the Midwest versus the South or East Coast, West Coast, and you're like, Butthole Chapstick is
it's universal.
Yeah,
everyone's got a butthole.
Yeah, I don't have to edit this.
yeah, man. Yeah, I will at least like, as far as like tweaking material, I try to open up with a little bit of pandering and like local stuff up top just to show that I know where I am.
I noticed you did that here.
Yeah.
Rochester last night. You mentioned Rochester.
Yeah, I have a friend who's from Rochester, so I thought I'd give a little shout out to Rochester.
I was like, local reference. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and I have been to the mall, so I had to like talk about the mall a little bit. Yeah, I tried to do that a little bit just to kind of ease in and knock it into my like jokes. I think literally the worst set I may have ever had, I think, was when I had the show in Ireland once. I had this like comedy festival in Dublin, and I was this huge crowd. It was like 300 people. It was a big tent.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, Flanagan.
Yeah.
I
thought they'd love me. I thought I'd be their prodigal son. I was like, hey, my name's Ryan Eamon O'Flanagan. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, they're going to love me. And I went out, and I just didn't really talk about Ireland or anything. I just like got right into my jokes. And just like, hey, so I live in L.A., and my apartment is, talking about my apartment, whatever. And I bombed so hard, and they hated me so much. And I like went out to a bar after, and there was a guy who had been at the show, and he was just like making fun of me and calling his friends over, like, "Look, this is the guy that bombed." I just felt so horrible, and so
in an Irish accent.
Yeah, it was just like, "But my name's Ryan O'Flanagan. Can you cut me a break?" But then after that, I just like I had 2 more shows, and I just talked about like Ireland. I was like, I rewrote my set, and I just kind of just joked about Ireland and the people and how they're kind of mean, and then people just like loved that, and then from then on, I just always like open up with a little bit of local stuff just to like. I don't know. It just seemed to work then.
Always, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Ease the crowd into it a little bit. Yeah, that was awful. I was like, oh, there he is.
This is one of the things that happens to me is I will, going back a couple minutes here, is I'll leave the podcast, and if there's something, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't bring that up. Oh, my God. So here's the last thing I want to bring up, and that you mentioned on the podcast last night, because it's something I've asked guests about in the last like 6 months. I've asked guests, at least a couple of them, do you have the balls? Would you take the clinical trial for the vaccines, for the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, I did that.
And you did that.
I did it, yeah. I did Johnson & Johnson. Dude, you know what sucks so bad? Just before I came over here tonight, so that joke I did, people were worried about me growing an extra arm, and I didn't because I did the clinical trial, and I didn't grow an extra arm, but I did grow an extra penis, and that's why they call it Johnson & Johnson. And that got this like an applause break. I didn't think that joke would work at all, and I was so happy. I was like, "Oh my God!" I finally wrote like a new joke, and people really liked it. And that's universal. I can do that joke everywhere. And then today I was on Instagram, and there's this other comic that I really like did the exact same joke, and I was like, "God!" And he was the first one to put it online, so I'm like, "That's his now." Like, God damn it, that sucks so bad. But yeah, I did the clinical trial in October. And it was a 50-50. It's like a double-blind test. You can get the vaccine or a placebo, and they don't tell you. And but I got really sick for a couple of days, so I assumed I got the vaccine. And then it was just last week, actually, they emailed us, and they were like, the trial's going well, and vaccine's getting out there, so we're going to start letting people know whether or not they got the vaccine or not. And so I went in. And, sign all the paperwork and stuff, and the doctor's like, so do you think you got the vaccine? I was like, I think so. I got really sick. She's like, all right, you're going to find out today. I was like, all right, cool. And then she, like, leaves, and she goes and gets my paperwork, my chart that shows what I got, and she was like, you're so right. You got the vaccine. So she's like, so I'm going to fill out your card right now. So I got one of those little vaccination cards, and now I'm free to go have fun again.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it kicked my ass that first. I hate COVID so much. I've never hated anything more in my life than this pandemic. And so at the beginning, I saw on Facebook, they were like, we need people to do the clinical trial to get the vaccine. I was like, vaccine's the only thing that's going to stop this, so I have to do something. I got to do my part. And so I did the trial, and it worked out because I ended up just getting the vaccine really early, so it worked out for me. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to do something. I just hate this pandemic so much.
It sounds kind of corny, but that's kind of heroic that you. I did not have the balls to do that. Completely honest, I would not.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
No, I mean, I have family members that my parents are all vaxxed up now and visiting again, and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and now you're eligible. You got to get out
Now
there.
I'm eligible.
Get
I
that
haven't had a
vax.
chance to get an appointment yet. I'm planning on it. But, I have other family members that are very apprehensive still, to this date
I have
in
friends
April,
that
and you
still
did
kinda
it
don't
back
wanna-
last year.
Yeah, it was kind of, I guess, risky and crazy, but I never hated anything so much this pandemic. I love to just I'm kind of just like social, kind of love going to bars and hanging out with friends and going out dancing and stuff. And going to music shows and just, you can't do anything. And it's been the most depressing year. So I'm like, nothing is worse than what I've gone through this year just from the pandemic itself. I'll get sick.
Yeah. Did you walk in there at all and thinking like, how am I going to react if I did get the placebo and I still got sick? Like,
that's what I was thinking.
What the
So I
hell?
was like,
What happened?
I did get I did an antibodies test like 2 months later to see if I had the antibodies, and it came back negative. So I was like, what the hell? Did I just get really sick from a placebo or something?
Yeah.
But so I guess but those are pretty faulty, the antibodies test. So I guess
see.
it was just wrong. But,
Interesting.
yeah.
One more question. Did you get any financial, any monetary?
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, it was supposed to be like $150 every time you go in, and you go in. It's supposed to be for 2 years. The trial is for 2 years, and you go in every few months, and they just take your blood and see see if you still have the antibodies and stuff, and you only get $150. But last time I went in, they were like, they told me I got the vaccine, which is great news, and then they're gonna like up the pay to like $360. I was like, I don't really care about the money. I just kind of want to just like get this vaccine rolling out to people. So I would have done it for free. But yeah, I was in there, and it was definitely most of the people that were in there were for sure doing it for the money. It was like some real down and out people. I was like, what am I doing here? I don't need this money. I just really want to get this vaccine out. But yeah, I was telling people, they're like, do you get paid? And I'm like, yeah, it's like $150. And you go in there like, Jesus, Ryan, that's it?
I mean, that's my first reaction.
Yeah.
I think when I read, because I saw it advertised on Facebook, I think they were offering like $500-$600 if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the wrong one.
Sorry, bro.
Johnson's cheap, I guess.
I've checked their stock. They're doing fine.
Yeah. I don't know why they're jipping me.
Yeah, no, that's I give you tons of credit for doing that, and
Thanks, man.
I mean, really, you were part of the solution here.
Yeah,
People...
man, saving the world. So when I said it last night and like 2 people clapped, I was like, thank you. That was a risk I took.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a big deal. That's really cool.
Yeah, well, thanks, man.
So what's your next heroic move is what I'm curious about.
Next heroic move, who knows? Well, I guess walking in this thunderstorm that's out there right now.
Yeah,
it was coming down.
Yeah, there you go.
It was coming down when I was coming out there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. This has been great. Like we said at the beginning, 5 more chances to see you here at Acme this
Come
week.
on out.
You're still sold
out. Woo!
Thursday night sold out. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. But if you want to watch the Zoom, any of those nights, correct, Brandon? Zoom will be available.
Yeah.
And then Ryan, how about like social media and videos and stuff you're still doing?
Yeah, I'm at Ryan O'Flan on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. There's Ryan O'Flanagan. RyanO'Flanagan.com. Got all my shows and stuff on there.
Yeah. Oh, and you have a podcast.
Oh, yeah, I have a podcast. It's called Laser Show. It's pretty bad. I just like telling I just talk by myself. I tell like 15-minute stories. They're pretty lame. It gets like 100 listens each week.
We're gonna
check it out.
People should. I'm gonna recommend it because part of my research, I've listened to 4 1/3 of the 5 episodes.
Really? Wow, great.
Yes,
that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, and when we're done here, I'm gonna ask if you can show me.
Oh,
the
tattoo? Yeah.
Because I highly recommend the episode of you telling the story of the tattoo on your leg and the guy who did it and the drugs he was doing throughout the evening.
It was awful. It was a nightmare.
Yeah,
tattoo came out good though for the most part.
So I highly recommend Laser Show Podcast if for anything
man.
that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right. Well, let's do this again soon.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.